Hi everyone, Ryan here with Fight Game Analysis, and today we are going to be talking about the upcoming fight between Mackenzie Dern and Virna Jandiroba. If you've been enjoying the content, please go ahead and click on the like button and also subscribe to the channel. Really appreciate your support. Alright, so big fight coming up this Saturday, UFC 256 between Mackenzie Dern and Virna Jandiroba. It's number 11 and number 13th in the division. This is a really good fight in the sense that both of these women are very talented. Either one of them could put together a few wins and quickly just go on a streak that propels them into the top 5, and who knows how quick they could get a title shot after that. I mean, the division is stacked. At the very top, you've got Zhang Weili, who's got the belt, Joanna Jędrzejczyk, Rose Namajunas, Jessica Andrade. I mean, all the way filling out the entire top 10. There's a lot of talent, but even though both of these women are outside of it and ranked at number 11 and number 13, both of them highly talented and could put something together quick that could really make waves in the division. So they should be incredibly motivated. I'm really looking forward to this fight. I'm a fan of both of them. It should prove to be pretty interesting and possibly even some fireworks. So we take a look at Mackenzie Dern. She's ranked number 11 in the division. She's interesting. She comes into MMA as a specialist. Brazilian Jiu Jitsu black belt, highly decorated, won plenty of competitions, did great. But comes into MMA, and you would think that normally when you see people like that, that's going to be their bread and butter. They're going to go to the jiu-jitsu. And in a lot of ways, that was her story. But also, very early on, her career still hasn't even developed that much. She's been making leaps and bounds with her striking. I really like the way that she's been able to start putting her striking together and the results that we've seen from it. One, I guess, kind of knock that you could say is that I think she focuses a little bit too much on power. Her entire striking game is built around that. Everything she throws, she goes out there, she throws it with bad intentions. It's like, yeah, she works the jab, and yeah, she's got a check left hook that she throws, but she never really develops her striking game around that. Her striking, it's all just used as setups for power. And so far, it's worked out pretty well for her. She's been able to get stuff off. The only one that she saw some real trouble with who was able to outstrike her was Amanda Ribas, but Ribas is good. So, nothing there. Now, she's still got some things that she needs to work on. She moves in straight lines a little bit too much, but although she's been getting her angles better, she's been working on her head moving a little bit too much, although that is still a weak point in my opinion. But we'll see how it goes. We'll see how she comes out in this fight. Throughout her last 2 fights, we really haven't seen that much striking. She was able to end both of those fights in the first round, both of them by submission. So it'll be interesting to see how she comes out in this one and how her striking's progressed. Because in some ways, it'll be 3 fights since we've really been able to see what's on the table as far as her striking. Then you look at Jandiroba. Now, she is still in a lot of ways a specialist. She comes in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, and that's really what she goes to. I mean, in her last fight, she didn't even play any games with striking at all, went out there immediately and went for the takedown. There's a lot of ways that people can use their Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in a fight. And the way that she uses hers, the way that she really excels is when she's in top position. When she gets that top game going, she is heavy. She knows how to stick to her opponent. She knows how to put herself in great positions to set up submissions. Now, when we saw her in her first fight in the UFC against Carla Esparza, Esparza's a really good wrestler, took her down, had her on her back. So when she was on her back, Carla Esparza's on top. She showed some really good jiu-jitsu off her back. She showed that she was aggressive. She showed that she was attempting to set up some submissions and look for some things. She went for a sweep. Now, Esparza was good. She wasn't having any of it. But the fact is that when she was on her back, Virna was looking for it. So she shows that off her back that she's good. But her true bread and butter, where she really wants to go, how she wants to utilize that black belt in MMA, is going to be from top position. In her next 2 fights, which were both wins, she showed that right away. She showed that that's what she wants to go to. I mean, the whole thing about that, the only thing that's held Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, highly accomplished Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu players down in the past, or from really, getting out there and working their game once they come to MMA, is the takedowns. Wrestling is based in takedowns. Jiu-Jitsu is based off your grappling, being on the ground, and submissions. So if you start out the fight, an MMA fight, on your feet, before you can really work that jiu-jitsu, you have to get to the ground. And guys would come in and they'd be highly accomplished in it, but they wouldn't be good at taking guys down, particularly if those guys came from wrestling backgrounds. Is that going to be the case here with Virna? It'll be interesting to see. We haven't seen, she's been in 3 fights. Her last 2 have been wins, but we haven't really seen what she has on the table as far as takedowns are concerned. Yes, in her last 2 fights, she was able to get takedowns, but they weren't exactly against the most accomplished people. And we didn't see what happens if she has to go for it multiple times. If she gets stuffed, can she chain wrestle and get techniques and chain them together? If the first one's stuffed, how does she do against the cage? How does she do open it in the mat? We haven't really seen how she gets tested in all those situations. But I have a feeling that in this fight here, we're going to see some more stuff. So the question is, what's it going to look like when these two step in the octagon on Saturday night? This is good. This one could play out multiple ways. Now, if I just look at it directly, as soon as it starts, the fight's on their feet, I think the favor is in Mackenzie Dern all day. She's got way better striking. Her hands are faster. She's got more power. She can put combinations together better. She can work. She can lead and she can counter. I mean, she's not great at countering, but she can definitely counter better than Virna. So she can lead and she can counter. She can work behind things. She can go to the body on occasion if she needs to. She's by far the better striker. If this was a kickboxing match, she would win. So as long as the fight's on the feet, as long as she can keep it on the feet, I think she's got the clear advantage, up to and including she could even get out there and land some real power and score some damage and hurt Virna. Obviously, being an MMA fight, that doesn't necessarily mean just because it starts on the feet doesn't necessarily mean it's going to stay there. If it goes to the ground, that's where it could get interesting. So both of them are Brazilian Jiu Jitsu black belts, although they both work their game differently. Now, if this goes to the ground, but it goes to the ground and Virna's on top, I think she's going to be able to get some good work in. At the very least, I think she'll be able to hold that top position. She'll be able to hold Mackenzie Dern down for a while, probably a couple minutes before she's able to get up. And even if she isn't able to do any ground and pound, even if she isn't able to put Dern in a bad position as far as a potential submission is concerned, it's going to look, the judges are going to score it for her by her being in top position. Dern may be able to, she'll probably be able to get back up. She's certainly no slouch. I don't think that Mackenzie Dern will be able to submit Virna off of her back. I don't think, for what it's worth, I don't think Mackenzie Dern will be getting submitted in this fight either. I don't see either one submitting the other person unless they were to first hurt them with a strike and then maybe take their back and get a strangle or something like that, right? Choke them out like a rear naked choke. Something like that's possible. But as far as just getting somebody on the ground, it getting into a grappling type match and one of them submitting the other person, I don't really see that happening. It's only a 15-minute match. It's an MMA match, and they're both far too highly accomplished in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu to let that happen. So I think in that way, it would kind of be a stalemate. However, who's ever got that top position, it's going to look better in the eyes of the judges. So if Virna is able to go in there and get a takedown and hold Mackenzie Dern down on her back, that's going to look good as far as the points are concerned. It's only a 3-round fight, and she could easily win one of them just like that. Now, if it goes to the ground and Mackenzie Dern's on top, in a lot of ways, I kind of think the same thing. I think she'll be able to hold Virna down for a little while. I think Dern would be able to do better ground and pound from top position. She's more athletic. She's got better strikes. So her top position would definitely look different, but I think she would be able to hold her there for a while. Carla Esparza was able to hold Virna down for a little bit. So I think Mackenzie Dern would be able to do the same type of thing. Either way, I think both women would eventually be able to get back up. And once the fight was standing, again, I think Mackenzie Dern clearly has the advantage in that regard. She's just a much more accomplished striker. So this fight could play out a few different ways. Could be, a little bit on the ground, a little bit on the feet. But ultimately, I see this one going to Mackenzie Dern. I think she's going to walk away with a decision victory in this one. I see her just getting the next victory in line. It's going to propel her into the top 10. And who knows from there? She's been pretty busy recently, so it'll be nice to see where she goes from here. So let me know what you guys think. Is she going to be able to pull out a victory on this one? Is the jiu-jitsu from each person going to nullify each other? Or do you think somebody's going to be able to come out and get a submission? Let me know.